webinar, um, how to win the customer experience battle with your MIS. My name is Dan Marks, SGIA's Director of Content Development, and I'll be the moderator for today's program. On behalf of SGIA, I'd like to welcome you and let you know that our webinar system allows you to ask questions through your computer. So if you have questions at any time, even now, feel free to submit them and we'll get to them at the end of the formal presentation. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Susan Moore of Tharstern. Susan will take a moment to introduce herself, and we are delighted to have her here. And Susan, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. I greatly appreciate it. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for choosing to attend this session today on what I believe is actually the most important aspects of doing business, especially in the future, and that is your customer experience, which I'll be using CX in my slides for short. But before we get started, just a little bit about me. My name is Susan Moore, as Dan said. In the last 3 years, I've been the Vice President of Sales for Tharstern, who is a provider of MIS systems for the printing industry. But before my career at Tharstern, I was a business owner of a digital printing company for 22 years. And prior to that, I was with Eastman Kodak selling film and plates to the industry. So I have 30 plus years in this industry, and I absolutely love it. Today, I'm really excited to shed some light on what I think will be the #1 differentiator in your businesses and talk about the people that are so very important to all of us, which are our customers and our employees, and perhaps inspire you to look at your organization from their perspective and hopefully see some real business benefits along the way. So let's get down to business. I chose a topic that's very close to my heart, primarily because my entire career in this industry has spent in driving sales and customer satisfaction. And secondly, because I realized during my own customer experience journey how influential communication and processes are, both of which an MIS are designed for, and how useful it would be to any printing company who wants to move their customer experience. But let's roll back a bit and start with the basics. Have you all seen this sign in your career at all, customer is king? Well, I have a lot, but we usually see it in the support and service departments because historically, support revenues were the lifeblood of a business. You know, the type of support where you have a question or a problem and you call in, and we can be excused today for thinking that providing good customer service begins when there's a problem. So if I use an example like your AAA service or the 511s of the cities are good examples that epitomize this type of customer service. So you break down in your car, you call them, they come out and get you, fix you up, or take you to the nearest destination. And then when the experience is all said and done, you classify them as having a great experience and then a great brand because you're happy in the end. But customer experience today is not just about when things go wrong. It's about every engagement you have with your customer. It's, as an example, renewing your AAA membership. It's getting a nice personalized members pack when you first join. It's all of the experiences that encapsulate the entire customer relationship with you. So if you look at this slide, all of those touch points are related to the customer experience. I recall a phrase from my past that I use to hear people say all the time. When things go wrong, think of it as an opportunity to show your customers how great you are. But with today's technology, you need to go further than that. Providing a good customer experience at every time you interact with your customers is a great opportunity to show them how great you are. And in today's world and how we communicate, you've got to consider the communication method through the entire customer experience journey. So there's a good customer experience and there's a bad customer experience. To illustrate what I'm talking about with regards to customer experience, let's take an example of a good customer experience and then versus a bad customer experience. So I'm going to take you on a journey with someone we know very well, which is Amazon. So if you're like me, you signed up for Amazon Prime basically to get a free next day delivery on a product you needed immediately, not really appreciating what it was or the cost of Prime membership, and really forgot about it. Time goes by, You get a call from your other half possibly asking, what's the $75 that showed up on your credit card? And so you say, darn it, I forgot to cancel Prime. I went on there to order something and got free shipping, and I didn't remember to cancel it. So you go to the website to check your options. Conveniently, you've been automatically logged in, which is great. You scan the menu options there on the right and can see the heading of your account, which you select a few items you can choose from and see the option regarding your Prime membership. So I now go to my Prime membership area. Here you see the option to cancel the membership. Well, that's great. Now we're talking. So let's select this and see where we go from here. Of course, there's always a last-ditch attempt to try and convince me to stay, but I'm going to go for it and go away. So after only a few clicks from arriving at the site, you've canceled your membership. No mess, no fuss, no stress. Refund automatically shows up on your credit card in a couple of days. Then you think, wow, I like dealing with Amazon. I ordered a product and it succeeded in delivery, and I canceled it with no hassle. In fact, if you're like me, you probably went back to Amazon, re-signed up for Prime as I did because they made it so hassle-free, and now you measure a lot of your shopping experience to Amazon. So now let's take of another experience, Xfinity, previously Comcast. So maybe you've had Comcast through the football season and figured out there's nothing else to watch on TV, so you want to cancel your membership. So you really start a journey to cancel, and this cancellation journey is quite different than what we just went through. First of all, off to the website, and it looks like I'm not auto-signed in, which is yet another step. However, it's not so obvious on this screen where to go. So at first I tried the contact area. That was no help. Then I tried Googling how to cancel my Xfinity subscription. Okay, so here's a litany of pages for me to read depending on what choice I want, change, move, or cancel. Well, I actually want to cancel. The result is you can now see the heading, how to cancel your subscription. Oh, look at that. Darn it, I have to go through all kinds of choices. I don't want to chat with anybody. I don't want to call them. I surely don't want to visit them. And I really don't want to email them. And I certainly don't want to send them a form in the mail. So what I did next is I went on a forum to see there's got to be an easier way. And of course, I find the same problem on the forum. So, oh dear, this is how I feel. I've got to figure out how to cancel, and I get it done eventually. But when I walk away, I don't feel that good about Comcast. I'm sure you would agree that Xfinity could take a page out of Amazon's playbook for customer experience. But as well as improving your customer's experience, sometimes there's an opportunity to fundamentally change the way you do business and remodel from the customer's perspective. So here's another example, Tesla, where their sales teams are called customer experience specialists. From purchasing to owning a Tesla, they have challenged the status quo of car ownership as well as creating a customer-centric experience all the way through the life cycle of the brand. But how fantastic is it, even when they receive a complaint, that it appears that their CEO, Elon Musk himself, has responded to these posts on Twitter. So it may or may not have been Elon Musk, but if you look at this post on the right, I'm pretty sure someone was paying attention, because 6 days after the supercharger post where people were complaining that they couldn't get their cars charged, Tesla introduces a 40-cent per minute idle fee for superchargers to incentivize owners to move their cars after the charging is over. Again, a customer experience. The important thing is that they're listening and watching to what's happening in their customer experience. So, why the likes of Tesla and Amazon have gone to all this trouble to provide exceptional customer experience? Why are they ultimately what are they ultimately trying to achieve? And essentially, it's just good business. Here's why. Listen to some of these important marks. According to McKinsey & Company, brands that can improve the customer journey see revenues increase as much as 10 to 15%, while also lowering the cost to serve 15 to 20%. According to a report by Oracle, 86% of the customers say they would pay more money for a product or service where they will get better customer experience. And last but certainly not least, according to the Walker study, by 2020, customer experience will overtake the price and product to become a new key brand differentiator. Guys, that's 2020. That's not a decade from now. That's 2 years from now. In today's fast-paced business climate, we have to move beyond just providing good customer service and provide an exceptional experience at every touch point the customer has with us. Because in a world where competition can copy practically everything about you very quickly, in your company, they can copy your product, your price, even your brand. The only differentiator that remains is the one that takes a significant time and effort to get it right, and that's customer experience. After all, retaining happy customers has many business benefits, and that would be retention. A very widely known fact, it has been found that it can cost up to 5 times more to attract new customers compared to retaining existing customers. But according to a recent survey commissioned by Zendesk, 66% of customers say they'll leave after only one bad experience. That's over half, y'all. Remember, your competitors can replicate your products and pricing very quickly, and they are always looking to make it easy for customers to move to them. Your customers. They're trying to get your customers. So according to McKinsey, which is a global management consultant group, improving the customer journey from an average to a wow increases the likelihood that a customer will buy another product up to 50%. According to the White House Office of Consumer Affairs, if customers are not satisfied, 13% of them will tell 15 or more people they're not happy. On the other hand, 72% of the customers will share a positive experience with at least 6 or more people. So providing a good customer experience increases revenues, decreases costs, and retains customers and attracts new ones. So are you sold? After reading these stats and doing our homework, we were sold. So the customer experience improvement journey requires you to go right back to the basics, to the very core of what you do and why you do it. So before you do anything else, spend some time defining your mission, vision, and values. They will be key in engaging your staff in this customer service journey. Often, mission statements use phrases like delivering first-class service, creating new standards, being the best at what we do. But do you have a strategy to actually deliver this? Ensure your mission statement reflects exactly what you do and describes how you will help your customers. What is really important, however, is that if you want to become customer obsessed, your employees are key in delivering exceptional service. You need to reinforce this obsession and create a culture of customer obsession, which is not easy. Here's an example of a company that achieves this. Zappos, an online shoe company whose mission is quite simply to provide the best customer service possible. In what was a phenomenally cutthroat market in terms of online retail sales, they needed a powerful differentiator that couldn't be copied. As per Tesla, Zappos needed all of their employees to be part of a united team that provided exceptional service to their customers. Zappos have set the bar very high. So have you reached it? I don't know if we've reached it. We still have a ways to go, but certainly Zappos has reached it. Zappos CEO Tony Hsieh knew that his employees were key to providing an exceptional customer experience. That's why Zappos developed a rather innovative recruitment program. All of the new employees at Zappos embark on a 4-week training period that immerses them in a company's strategy, culture, and obsession with customers. People get paid for their full salary during this training period. After 1 week in the training period, Zappos informs them of what they call the offer. They say, if you quit today, we will pay you for the amount of time you've worked, plus we'll give you a $2,000 bonus. The offer stands until the end of the training period. what this very cleverly does is weed out those people who are extrinsically motivated, that is, motivated by external factors like money. And it retains those who are intrinsically motivated, those that are motivated by doing something they enjoy, and who bought into the company's ethos and culture. I think this is pretty darn clever, don't you? It's no wonder they were acquired by Amazon, whose mission statement is to be Earth's most customer-centric company for an eye-watering $1.2 billion. So as I said, it's important for you to review your mission and values. It just isn't a 5-minute water cooler conversation or a 30-minute executive meeting. We spent 10 months redefining ours, not just to make sure that they were reflective of our expectations, but just as Zappos and Tesla, it was vitally important that our employees were on board with our plans to achieve them. Here are some ways we did that. You can see on the top, we did wall graphics throughout our company with our mission and values. We created notebooks that are in the office supply department that they can retrieve that reinforces and describes our why as well as our vision. And we also created a Tharstern ethos that describes how we work together and the importance of making every customer feel special. We also do an employee newsletter every month. As part of it, our CEO does an introduction as well as a topical subject. We always reinforce our why to ensure they are aligned with the company's mission statement. We also produce and update the letter, which helps everyone understand our purpose and our vision and the important role we play in helping others. So, as well as this content reminder, the next thing, which is the most important thing you need to do, is to assemble a customer experience team. This will allow you to deliver on the promises you laid down in your mission statement. This team should be made up of staff at various levels of responsibility and activity within your company. This is essential because the team needs to have the knowledge of all of the customer touch points to create the customer journey map. To make sure everyone understands the overall objective of the team, they should create a customer experience statement, something they can refer to when making decisions. Include the things that are important to your organization. Our statement is, we insist our customers will have an experience that is simple, informative, and memorable by being professional, passionate, and personal. The adjectives we've used here are important to Tharstern, and we use them to make sure our decisions in these meetings are always working towards our end goal. We personally found that it was best not to include our executive team in these meetings, but we did ensure that they were all committed to allocating the resources required to get this stuff done. Part of what this team will do is create a customer journey map, highlighting all of your customer touch points so that you understand the journey they take through the life cycle. This can be a quite lengthy process and will take a number of meetings to get right. As I reminded you, this took us 10 months. We had a tendency to try and suggest improvements before we finished mapping the status quo. But once we got to the end, it became the core point of our reference that we used to identify opportunities for improving our customer experience. Some touch points we removed, some we consolidated, some we improved, and some further touch points were created. The map was updated each time. This is one of the early iterations of Tharstern's customer journey map. This can be a difficult process to complete because it's a mirror of your own company and what you do, and you may not like to see it. But you can't get better if you don't know what your customers are experiencing today and aren't able to look at it. So our own improvement program featured some key areas for us: improving internal and external communication, making processes more efficient, making it easier for people to do business with us. As I said from the start, we realized how useful an MIS would be for any printing company in addressing these core areas of improvement. After all, an MIS fundamentally provides a backbone for communicating effectively both internally and externally to customers. It also provides capability to define processes and to improve them through automation, as well as creating touch points to catch your feedback. I've put together some examples of how you could use an MIS for a better customer experience. So, number one, according to a report by Microsoft on customer support, more than 90% of the consumers expect brands or organizations to have an online customer self-service experience. And 60% say they have a more favorable view of a brand that has a self-service offering that is mobile. If you haven't gone down the web to print route, this is something you clearly need to do based on this research. Being able to place orders for simple products, even those that have variable content, has been around for a while. But with today's modern MIS that support APIs, you can go much further these days than placing orders. For example, you can create live quoting portals that interact with your MIS estimating engine so that the customer gets the same price as if they were to contact your salesperson. Number two, this is almost expected norm of these days in that all of your customers expect some form of order confirmation. But what about an automated email or even an SMS when a job is being printed, or a text reminder when a job is on proof? There are lots of key milestone events in an MIS that can be tapped into and communicated to your customers without requiring a human resource. Number three, no one likes being bombarded with generic marketing communication, and you can use this information in your MIS to prevent this. Using an integrated CRM, you can identify quoting for buying habits that will help you target the right customers at the right time with the right information. You can go further by integrating your MIS with a marketing automation system like HubSpot. This offers even more opportunities for a great customer experience. For example, identify any customers that normally order, auto-enroll them in a marketing campaign that your marketing team has already set up in HubSpot. And then your customer gets sent an example pack in the mail with the follow-up email a week before they would normally have to start thinking about this project. You're basically trying to change the game from a reactive customer service to a proactive customer service without adding staff. Number four, our own reviews said we must communicate better together. I'd suggest this is probably a common trait amongst our companies. As a software company, we're using different products in different departments, which makes communication between departments a massive challenge. However, you're lucky as a printer. Your MIS is likely to be used across the entire company, so you just need to make sure that you take advantage of all the features it will offer to enable effective communication. For example, you should be able to alert teams to important milestones. Let customer service teams know if there's a delay and they can call the customer. Capture and disseminate important information about your customers and specific jobs. All this helps provide a great customer experience. From many of my visits to customers, we all talk about the same problem. Customers' artwork is, more often than not what they said it would be. So why not look into taking one of the biggest challenges and improving your customer experience at this point? An example of this would be using Switch tied into your MIS workflow to automatically interrogate artwork, generate the pre-flight report, and then use the tools in Switch to automatically route the job and communicate when there is a problem, resulting in a better customer experience. Measuring your customer satisfaction level is very important. We see it everywhere. Get a quick "how did we do" response from your customers at the right time. We see it at the airport security, for example, in the restrooms, a simple press of a button, even on your card payment systems now. This is key to an improvement program. After all, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it or change it. At Tharstern, we're still working on the best way to do this, but our ideal scenario is something akin to Amazon, which a simple smiley face ratings at each of their main touch points we have with our consumers. As another example is tools such as SurveyMonkey can create these simple surveys that can be triggered by your MIS as key events or using something like BuyingFire that can also measure your customer's experience journey. Again, keeping it sweet and simple. So I think that's just about wraps up my babbling about customer experience. We are still very much in our customer experience journey and will always be, but I really truly believe that your customer experience is the game changer over the next 3 to 5 years. You can spend a lot of money on hardware and software, but if you don't look at your customer experience, I feel like you're missing the boat. So we'll be at SGIA, and we'll be putting our money where our mouth is and demonstrating examples of ideas of what I've just talked about. So we're at booth 4526. So stop by and see us, and we can share some examples with you. Dan, should I pass it over to you?
Sure. Thank you, Susan, for the presentation. There was a lot there to think about. One question I wanted to fire out there is, before Thorstern started this journey in their own CX system, what were the sort of nagging issues that led both management and the other teams to kind of say there's got to be a better way or we need to change? What were some of the symptoms that were worth addressing?
Well, often, let's start with, that support example I used. Well, we have a support team, and many times our support team would end up reaching out to other people in the company to try and clarify communication, because we didn't have the best way of the communication line with our customers. And we started realizing that we were spending our time having the same conversations over and over. And it was a waste of time. And if you don't have a method by which you can handle the customer experience, you really are adding human resource to manage that dialogue. And that becomes very expensive. And that's part of what we were looking at. The other thing is that people like myself, I shop every day. And I keep saying every day, our goal is to be as good as an Amazon. We may not be as big, but we would like to be that someday. So we have an aspiration to be that. We're not that certainly today, but I want my experience in buying software as easy as it is to buy other products, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think there's a real kernel of truth and a good lesson there, which is that it's gotten to the point, I think, where the, let's call it the consumer experience, the experience that you and I have going on Zappos and buying a pair of shoes, has started to translate over into the relationships you have on the business-to-business environment. People, I believe, are expecting a different kind of service, more automated service, more personal service, whether they're buying shoes or whether they're buying, 10,000 decals for their business. Is that true?
Yeah, that's very true. And you made a statement that there's a lot in this presentation, and I put for those who attended, I put something together so that you can look at all these stats. You have to start your customer experience journey somewhere. And maybe you can't right now do the journey map. You really need to just start looking at compartmentalizing certain areas that you want to start, and then trying to get your whole company on board in this culture change, because it certainly doesn't happen overnight. I'll tell you from my own experience, it'll take a couple of years to truly infuse that culture.
Yep. And then I guess the question I have is, there are a lot of automated elements in place. There's the quick survey. There's, is a smiley face or a frowny face, or however you do to sort of capture those feelings. Where does that go? And what is the process to take that, let's say, digital information, aggregate it, and then actually do something about it?
Yeah, and that's key, is that that data is collected, and in our particular company, it goes to the marketing team, who then appropriately disseminates the information where there's action required. And if I can make a comment about, it used to be that marketing and sales were two silos in a business. And today, in order to be really good at a customer experience, your marketing and sales and support team all have to be united, which is why having a customer experience team that meets on a monthly basis, this is not something you do for the first quarter. You have a customer experience team that meets, and you have people from your marketing, your sales, your support side to continue to look at that customer experience journey and revamp that. But then the marketing team does things like take some of that data and make sure that there are responses and make sure that they go, if they need responses from other departments, that's disseminated accordingly. Did that answer your question, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. I just, I kind of find that there are all these processes that people can put in place, but if it never gets back to really bolstering the effort towards sort of continuous improvement, then it's just kind of lip service. And ultimately, in the long term, if nothing is acted upon with those things, people start to notice. Do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Susan, for the presentation today. We are delighted to have Tharstern as one of our 600 exhibitors we have at the SGIA Expo coming up this month, October 18th through 20th in Las Vegas. We are gearing up and expecting a fantastic show with a lot going on, a lot of opportunity, whether it's equipment, software, materials, new ideas, new connections. It really is the place to be. So if you haven't signed up, go to SGIA. Let me try that again. Go to sgia.org, find the expo, and sign up for that event. And we look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas. With that, it marks the end of today's presentation. Thanks again, Susan, and we'll see you online again soon. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. See you at SGA. Thank you.